Hey everybody, Timothy Roy here, aka Tim with a Y. Mostly because that's how my name is spelled, T-Y-M. But in recent years, it's actually kind of transformed. It's emerged into something different, and that's Tim with a Y with a W-H-Y, and that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about today. I wanted to talk about 5 reasons why some people heal and some don't, and with special tribute to someone who's been part of my life for nearly a couple of years now, who we passed away yesterday. And it's interesting, I did this video several times yesterday, and I always ran into some kind of challenge. I had some technology challenge. I ran out of space on the hard drive. I couldn't transfer it onto a machine. Like, it was just this really weird thing that I don't typically run into. But it happened, so I just finally, cast the reins to the wind and said, okay, what's going on here, and let's just get on with our day. After I did that, I got a message that this person had passed away, had ended her earthly journey, and she was had ended a struggle with cancer. And so she didn't make it, or did she? Yet to be seen on one level or another. But it even made it more suitable for me to talk about these 5 things that I had planned already. So the first one is having a strong enough reason why. So these are elements that have been studied by experts to find out, when all things are considered equal, why some people seem to heal when others don't. Everything else created equally. And one of the major ones, the leading major one, is they had a really, really strong reason why. Something that was meaningful and emotional connection in their life, their community, their family, their children, their something that was a deep-seated, authentic connection to what it is that caused them to tick, right? So their reason why, aka Tim with a Y, thought, hey, I got it, why not use it? So ask yourself, looking around your life and say, hey, what's my reason why? What's my purpose for wanting to feel better and be better and do better and all that kind of stuff? And then just start from there and tether yourself to that reason why. Have you ever seen The Princess Bride? But there's a great scene where Billy Crystal, who plays the sorcerer or the medicine man or whatever, is bringing Wesley back to life, and he puts these bellows in his mouth and he pumps his lungs full of air, and then he goes, hey in there, what's so important that you want to live for? Whatever, and then he pushes on his chest, and Wesley, the main character, breathes out, who's kind of dead at the time, goes, true love, and he says true love. And so true love is a pretty strong reason why. So wherever you're at, maybe shore up that reason why and see how it goes. The second reason that people sometimes don't heal is their attachment to something that Carolyn Mace calls woundology, or Dr. Lissa Rankin calls learned helplessness. So woundology, as in, ow, wound, And what woundology is, or learned helplessness, is having some kind of underlying subconscious investment in your trauma or your condition or whatever that won't. You're so highly invested in it, you don't know what's next, and it becomes very uncomfortable at a subconscious level, not a conscious level. Like, this isn't like, I think I need to keep my cancer around for whatever purpose. That's not what I mean. This means like people are highly invested in their story, and when you're highly invested in your story, it has tremendous gravity, tremendous pull that allows things to maintain their shape. And so be very aware of any habits that you have that may lean into this element of woundology. So ask yourself, how many times do I tell a story? Do I find that every conversation I have with someone, or I end up repeating myself about some story, some tragic event that happened in my life, some accident that happened, something that you didn't have when you were a child, something happened in your family, something that kind of connects to a drawdown of emotional energy. And chances are there's a little bit of woundology at play there. And that one kind of leads into the third one as well. And the third one, so we have reason why, right? We have woundology, or learned helplessness. And the third one has to do with kind of the opposite of woundology. And I call it fear of the unknown. And this happens a lot on the table for me with the deep issue clients. So, for instance, when the fear of the unknown comes from is that, let's say you've only known a way of life for so long, like maybe your entire life, and in and you don't know what life might be like on the other side of that. So, for instance, it's usually a lot of people like associating this with success, right? You've lived kind of at a main, like, this kind of level of success, whatever success means to you. And then in order to take it to that next level of success, there's a lot of fears that come up around the unknown, about what ifs and all of these things. And the fear of the unknown is very, very powerful, because most people, when we track it back to source, have this innate fear of the unknown. So if you have or know someone with a condition, this is a neat thing to elaborate. Is like, who would I be without this condition? I have now self-identified with this condition, and now who would I be without it? And seeing really the level of authenticity that you get, because it's not an easy question to ask yourself. It's not at all. But I think it's an important one. So, reason why, woundology, and fear of the unknown. The fourth one is just getting started too late. Just getting started too late. Once you have enough awarenesses around that things have to change, and and quite frankly, I mentioned at the top that we had a passing of a friend, and who it was the general manager of Tymothy Holistic Living, whom I work with, and her name's Linda Blackier, and she was an integral part of the Tymothy Holistic Living group for 6 years, and she hasn't been around since September. And the reason why she hasn't been around is she was in the hospital being treated for a fairly aggressive cancer. And pretty late in the game, Cheris, the owner, had a really beautifully heartfelt inspiration to put Linda on a plane and send her out to Ontario to work with this guy, Dr. Alan Price, and he's a naturopathic oncologist. So he works with cancer in aggressive alternative ways that include IV and ozone therapy and all kinds of different things. But he has a tremendous success rate with stage 3 and 4 cancers. But when Linda had got there, because Cheris was just like, well, I'm sending her, and she just ended up at the doorstep. So they took her in and they worked with her. And what I heard through the grapevine, what Dr. Price had said, if she only had some more organs left to work with. And so for Linda, it was just a little bit too little, too late. Right therapy, wrong timeline. And so they elected to get Linda back on a plane and bring her back home, and then where she passed away with her family. And she has three teenage daughters, and she's a single mom, right? And so what does too little too late actually mean sometimes? And so we had a meeting this morning. It was a bit of a group ceremony, if you will, just at Tymothy. And I went there, and when I got asked if I had anything to speak to, one of the things was an idea for a celebration, and the other one was just this message that I kept getting, and I kept getting, and I kept getting. And I think this is why this didn't happen yesterday. This video didn't happen yesterday. And it's because the message was, start now. Whatever it is, start now. There's probably something in your life that you know that you're not doing and that you ought to be doing. And you know what? The time is now, because even everyone around Linda, who had so much healing and so much support, everyone was kind of in denial that she actually might go. And guess what? She went. And so before it's too late, start now. Why not? You have nothing to lose, right? You have everything to gain and nothing to lose. So that's number 4. So let's move on. Number 5 is just what I call a spiritual wild card. Sometimes we just don't know. Everybody does everything together. They're working on their beliefs. They're doing all the right things allopathically. They're doing things naturally. They're doing all the right things, and then just one goes and one doesn't. And what the heck? We don't sometimes know why, even if they had a really strong reason why, even if they weren't exhibiting the behaviors of woundology and learned helplessness, even if they seem to have transcended that fear of the unknown, and they got started and they did it. Sometimes it just happens that it goes, and this is just the spiritual wild card. And I think what's really interesting and cool about that is that it works the other way too. Is sometimes there's just divine intervention. If you don't know who Anita Morjani is, for instance, go Go look on YouTube and watch her TED Talk or stuff. And here's a lady who was riddled with cancer and had a outer body experience, a near-death kind of experience, came back, and 5 weeks later, because of what she learned out there, cancer evaporated and it was gone. Totally gone. 5 weeks later. Who knew? So those are the 5 things I have for you, the 5 reasons why some do and some don't when it comes to healing. Let's just a quick recap. First is to have a strong enough reason why. Right? Second is to keep on the lookout for any kind of woundology or learned helplessness experiences that you might be exhibiting and not being aware of. Number 3 is to examine if you have any fear of the unknown, of like, who would you be without this? I don't know. But it doesn't sound logical, but I assure you that we run into it time and time again in my field. 4 is getting started too late. So enough said, get started now. Number 5 is just the spiritual wild card. Sometimes there's just some other plan that we'll never understand, and we're not meant to understand. And the more grace that we can have in that arena, the better, right? So there you go. And one last thing before we cut off this video, what I wanted to do is, so with regard to Linda and the 3 kids that she's left behind and the legacy that she wants to leave behind, is a foundation got started. And a foundation got started in order to bring these natural and aggressive healing modalities, cures, to Calgary and to Alberta. And so this would be under the direction of Dr. Alan Price. And so we're having some fundraisers on this Thursday, in fact, down at Kaylee's Pub down on the South Calgary by Southland and McLeod. We're having a fundraiser from 5 o'clock till 11 o'clock p.m. And I really invite you to either consider coming along, come down, buy some tickets, have some fun. You get a drink and some other things. There's a silent auction, so you can get some good, nice goodies for very little, or let's call it less than cost or something like that. And all those proceeds go to the Love for Linda Foundation. And in fact, down below this video, you're going to see an image that says "Make a Difference." And if you click on that image, you'll be taken to the website. You can make a contribution. You can learn something about what is being offered in order to bring more cost-effective and effective treatments and possibly even cures. Got to watch that word, cure. Got to watch it. And by the way, there's a difference between curing and healing, and maybe we'll go into that in another video. But please, you know what? Click on the link below. Consider making a donation. Open your heart. Open your pocketbook. It's not for me. It's for Linda and the legacy that we can leave for her, and to take care of those kids until they can get on and take care of themselves. Anyways, I thank you for your time. Namaste, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. I hope you enjoyed this and get some value out of it. Go out, start now.